Crazy Week 10, and just as everybody expected, the Indianapolis Colts, with an interim coach who had no college or pro coaching experience, would take a team into Las Vegas and beat the Raiders. It may say more about the Raiders than it does about the Colts, but amazing that they were able to turn it around after all the craziness of the week, all the dysfunction, Matthew, and get the win.
Yeah, look, credit to Jeff Saturday, credit to the Colts organization, who easily could have come into this game and said, you know, we're giving up on the season, and they didn't. I said this on Fantasy Football Pregame. I worked with Jeff Saturday for a number of years at ESPN, consider him a friend, and what I said is like, I don't know what kind of head coach he's going to be. I don't know what kind of offense he's going to run, but I can tell you this. He's passionate, he's charismatic, he's smart, and people love him. You know what I mean? Like, I really like the guy. Everyone at ESPN really liked the guy. I thought he would be able to go into that locker room and get people to believe in whatever message he was selling. And I felt like that happened. You're talking about a former All-Pro center, and if nothing else, the offensive line in this game showed up, Mike Florio, right? I mean, like, he wasn't sacked. You know, he was sacked only once, and they ran the ball really effectively. Jonathan Taylor had a great game here. They were pressured among, one of the lowest amounts they have this entire season. So really an impressive performance top to bottom.
You had a little Stuart Smalley vibe in there. He's good enough, he's smart enough, and gosh darn it.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
But look, you go into that difficult situation and you get people to play and you get the coaches to respond. The coaches could have been tempted to not necessarily have a mutiny, but just to be standoffish, something that was going to take more than a few days to turn around. So impressive for the Colts. And
you know what, by the way, he also clearly, there was some sort of discussion before he came on board saying, like, I'm playing my best players, and that includes Matt Ryan at quarterback. And is Matt Ryan great? No, he is not, but he's a lot better than what they were rolling out there in Sam Ellinger these days. And look, Matt Ryan, when he needed to in this game, made big plays. And you compare, look, it's a one-score game that came down to a fourth down that, the Colts ultimately didn't, that the Raiders ultimately didn't convert, and, credit the Colts for holding on to win. But you think about the coaching situation in Indianapolis and compare that to Josh McDaniels and what's going on in Las Vegas. I mean, like, that's a game the Raiders should have won. And we can say that about a lot of games this year, and just for whatever reason, they haven't gotten it done. And credit Jeff Saturday, who came in 4 days and got the Colts to believe enough in his message to pull out a W.
I really think that if Josh McDaniels didn't have a massive buyout from Mark Davis, he'd be back coordinating the New England offense by Christmas, really, the way things have gone. Real quickly, 3 receiver injuries today. I'll summarize them, and then you tell me which one you think has the biggest fantasy impact. Juju Smith-Schuster with the concussion on that wicked hit that didn't draw a foul. It did until it didn't. Jerry Jeudy has what they thought was an Achilles injury. It's actually back of his ankle. They're looking at that. And then Cooper Kupp injured the ankle 2 weeks ago, injured it again now. It's looking worse this time around. Which one overall is the most significant, creates the most chaos from fantasy?
Cooper Kupp, and not particularly close. I mean, he's, one of the top receivers in fantasy. He had the greatest fantasy season of all time last year. It's Cooper Kupp, who's like perennially the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver any given week. It's him and Justin Jefferson. Tyreek Hill's right there in the mix as well. But Cooper Kupp, I mean, Juju's had a nice season, and Jerry Jeudy's come on the last couple of weeks, but this would be it's been a tough year for the Rams, and if Cooper Kupp is to miss any amount of time, it's just, another tough blow for Sean McVay and the entire Rams organization.
And you mentioned Justin Jefferson. You can impress your friends and family with this nugget. Jefferson today became the player with the most 100-yard receiving games in his first 3 seasons and the most 150-yard receiving games in his first 3 seasons. And he's still got 8 games left to add to that in his 3rd season.
Justin Jefferson is ridiculous. And I'm not just saying this because you're a diehard Vikings fan. I am saying this because he actually is. It's so funny. We talked a lot in the offseason about, hey, Justin Jefferson was like, I want to be, Cooper Kupp was the number 1 wide receiver last year. I want to be it this year. And we're like, you know what? With Kevin O'Connell's offensive scheme and Kirk Cousins the quarterback and his talent, that's got a real shot at happening, and hard to argue with him after today's performance in Buffalo. Justin Jefferson had probably the catch of the century.
I was making the MVP case for Justin Jefferson before the season, and his performance early on got me to shut up. After today, and when this settles in, there's still a long way to go, but I haven't seen anything like what he did today.
When you think about the fact that they're on the road against a Bills team, that they're, and 4th down, and just sort of everything that went into that moment, that catch is as good a catch as there's ever been in NFL history, given the stakes that were involved and the degree of difficulty of Justin Jefferson coming down with that off-balance one-handed in the air. Like, just ridiculous.
We can keep doing this all night, but they won't let us. They want us to shut up. We'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.